Today on Inquirer. President Bongbong Marcos meets with U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. Austin reiterates U.S. commitment to the defense of the Philippines.
As I said before, Mr. President, we're more than allies, we're family. We will always have your back in the South China Sea or elsewhere in the region.
Metro Manila's COVID-19 positivity rate climbs to 19.7% according to OCTA Research. Magnitude 5.5 earthquake hits Isabela. And more Filipinos say ROTC program should be optional for senior high school students. Good evening. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin reaffirms the United States' commitment to the defense of the Philippines, telling President Bongbong Marcos that the U.S. has the Philippines back with regards to the South China Sea. Daphne Galvez reports.
On the fourth day of his official visit to Washington, President Bongbong Marcos met with the U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin at the Pentagon to further discuss the U.S.-Philippine alliance in defense and security. Upon going to Pentagon, Marcos was given full honors by the U.S. military, making him the first foreign head of state to receive one under the administration of President Joe Biden. In his opening remarks, Austin told that Manila and Washington are not just allies, but are family, and that the U.S. will always have the Philippines back in the South China Sea. He also reiterated Washington's ironclad commitment to the defense of the Philippines, adding that the two nations' mutual defense treaty applies to armed attacks against their armed forces, Coast Guard vessels, public vessels, or aircraft in the Pacific, including anywhere in the South China Sea. The U.S. official also cited how the Philippines has been an indispensable friend and ally of the U.S. for decades.
As I said before, Mr. President, we're more than allies, we're family. And we share a common vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific because a region governed by rules and rights helps provide security and prosperity for our two countries and for the whole region.
Philippine and American top defense officials established bilateral defense guidelines to modernize alliance cooperation for a free and open Indo-Pacific region. Defense Officer in Charge Carlito Galvez Jr. and Austin established the guidelines between the two countries, which, among others, reaffirmed the U.S. mutual defense commitments with the Philippines. According to the U.S. Defense Department, the guidelines seeks to strengthen the U.S. and the Philippines' combined deterrence in an evolving security environment. Under the guidelines, the Philippines and the U.S. will expand cooperation on maritime security that will not just be limited to joint patrols. The goal is to expand cooperation on maritime security and maritime domain awareness for the deepening of interoperability. This, it said, involves the continued conduct of combined maritime activities, including but not limited to joint patrols. After his meeting with Austin, Marcos also met with members of the U.S. Senate, where they discussed a wide range of issues that include security, defense, agriculture, climate change mitigation, economic cooperation, and cybersecurity. This is Daphne Galvez reporting from Washington, D.C.
Migrant Workers Secretary Susan Ople says employers in the U.S. and Saudi Arabia are interested in hiring overseas Filipino workers displaced by the civil war in Sudan. According to Ople, 77 out of the 340 OFWs in Sudan to be repatriated to Manila had already landed in Saudi Arabia, while 83 others would arrive in Riyadh on Thursday. She says the Department of Migrant Workers was working on securing employment opportunities for these OFWs.
There are employers in the U.S. and also in the cruise ship industry and in Saudi Arabia that are very much interested and would like to see the profiles of our workers from Sudan. Livelihood assistance is in place to provide them with a fresh start in life.
Ople also raises the need for humanitarian corridors and safe zones for affected Filipinos. While the Philippine government has facilitated the repatriation of more than half of the Filipino population in Sudan, she says there are still those who wish to stay in the strife-torn country, hoping that the conflict would dissipate.
There really needs to be humanitarian corridors and safe zones para yung mga gustong makaalis, pwedeng umalis. And then yung mga gusto naman maiwan, may access pa rin sa pagkain, sa gamot, sa tubig, and other basic essentials.
A social weather station survey shows that more Filipinos say the Reserve Officers Training Corps program should only be optional for senior high school students. According to the survey, 42% think that ROTC program should only be optional, while 35% approve it should be compulsory. Meanwhile, 22% say it should not be in the senior high school's course of study at all. Respondents who favor making the ROTC program an optional course agree that a student should be given the chance to choose between the program or community service. The SWS specifies that the biggest bulk of support for mandatory ROTC was in Visayas with 46%, while only garnered 34% approval in Mindanao, 32% in Balanced Luzon, and 29% in Metro Manila. The Land Transportation Office says applicants for driver's licenses may soon have a shorter examination as it aims to further eliminate the public's reliance on fixers. The LTO acknowledges that lengthy procedures are one of the reasons why many applicants seek fixers to assist them. In a statement, LTO Chief Jose Arturo Tugades says the agency is studying how to shorten the exam, which reportedly takes 2 hours. He reasons that applicants will not seek out fixers and take the exam themselves if they reduce the exam's duration. The LTO earlier said that the examinations would only be trimmed for student driver applicants, but later clarified that it is for driver's license applicants in general. In addition to shortening the test time, the LTO is also studying to make the questions customized depending on the license classification or driver's license code that the applicant obtains. Next on Inquirer Today. Metro Manila's COVID-19 positivity rate climbs to 19.7% according to OCTA Research. And the magnitude 5.5 earthquake hits Isabela. This Inquirer Today will be back shortly.
Salamat po sa suportan nyo. Maraming salamat. Ako pala Rinaldo sa taga-Dunsol. Ako nang kalang Dunsol, Sugon. Ang trabaho ko po naglalaot po ako ngayon. Kung ako ng alimango. Konti lang nahuli namin.
Ay, matao. Chus.
Sa susunod yung pagkikita ko yung paano ko mang-uli ng isda.
Sana samahan niyo ang dulo manghuli ng alimango.
Maliit lang.
Maraming salamat po sa sumusuporta po sa akin. Ano po ang request ng driver sa akin? Yung gagawin ko. Masaya po ako. Maraming salamat nanonood sa akin sa video ko.
OCTA Research says the COVID-19 positivity rate in the National Capital Region climbs to 19.7%. Metro Manila's COVID-19 positivity rate jumped from 12.7% on April 25 to 19.7% on May 2, according to OCTA Research fellow Guido David. David warns that Metro Manila's positivity rate may rise further, adding that there is a chance it may reach 25% within a week or so. Meanwhile, the national positivity rate is currently at 17.1%. The Department of Health, however, previously assured the public that there is no need to panic as the health utilization rate remains low throughout the country. DOH Officer in Charge Maria Rosario Vergere also earlier explained that the COVID-19 positivity rate is not the only basis for assessing the country's COVID-19 situation. She said it is only derived from the number of individuals who have tested positive for COVID-19 and a specific number of RT-PCR tests concluded, which is significantly less than the previous years. The Department of Health says the Philippines will only be able to fill the gap in the shortage of nurses after around 12 years and the shortage for doctors after 23 years. DOH Officer in Charge Maria Rosario Vergere reveals that the country needs around 114,000 physicians and 127,000 nurses to be able to provide optimal health care. When asked how many doctors and nurses the Philippines produce annually, the DOH official says the country produces almost 4,400 physicians per year, while at least 10,000 nurses are produced on average per year. With this, Vergere says it would take 12 years to solve the shortage of nurses and 23 years for doctors. Although the country is touted as one of the top suppliers of nurses and other medical practitioners abroad, the Philippines has been suffering from a shortage of nurses. The Philippine Coast Guard says it collected around 400 liters of oily water mixture during Tuesday's offshore response to the spill from sunken tanker MT Princess Empress. According to the Coast Guard, Malayan Towage and Salvage Corporation, TUG, tugboats deployed its oil spill boom and skimmer and conducted manual scooping in the area of the sunken vessel. This is to contain and recover sighted oil sheens in the waters of Balingawan Point. The PCG says more than 6.6 kilometers of shoreline were cleaned on Tuesday. This brings the total to 48.45 kilometers of shoreline cleaned out of the 57.77 kilometers of shoreline affected since March this year. The tanker MT Princess Empress was carrying 800,000 liters of industrial fuel when it encountered engine trouble and sank off Oriental Mindoro on February 28. A magnitude 5.5 earthquake hit Isabela province on Thursday morning, according to Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology. The earthquake struck 29 kilometers northeast of the coastal town of Maconacon in Isabela at 8:49 a.m. The tremor was tectonic in origin and had a depth of focus of 31 kilometers. Intensity 5 was felt at Enrile, Peña Blanca, and Tuguegarao City in Cagayan, while intensity 4 was felt in Balbalan, Pinukpuk, and City of Tabuk in Kalinga, City of Batak in Ilocos Norte, and Maconacon in Isabela. Meanwhile, intensity 3 was recorded in Marcos and San Nicolas in Ilocos Norte, while intensity 2 was felt in Bacara, City of Lawag, and Pasukin in Ilocos Norte, and Saguday in Quirino. According to FIVOX, no damage should be expected, but it warns of aftershocks that may occur. The National University Lady Bulldogs will face La Salle Lady Spikers in a finals rematch on Sunday at the Big Dome. The top 2 seeds in the UAAP Season 85 Women's Volleyball Tournament will renew a title series that the number 1 Lady Spikers would hope to have a different ending to. The Lady Spikers took all the best that University of Santo Tomas could offer in the first 2 sets and then let it all hang out in the fourth for a dominant finish with a win over the Tigresses. Meanwhile, the Lady Bulldogs posted a destruction of Adamson, riding the guns of Bella Belen and Liza Solomon to assure that this title series starts on Sunday. Game 1 of the Best of 3 Championship Series opens on Sunday, 4 p.m. at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Pauline Del Rosario ng Bandera. Pauline?
Hello Neil at sa mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Heto ang latest chika. Tila na trauma na sa tinatawag na dermal piercing ang young actress na si Cyril Manabat. Yan ay matapos magkaroon ng impeksyon ang 4 na piercings. Kwento ng aktres sa isang interview, magkaibang petsa niya pinagawa ang nasa bandang leeg at bahagi ng dibdib, ngunit lahat daw yan ay nagsugat at nagkaroon pa ng kiloy. Dahil daw sa nangyari, wala na raw anya siyang balak na muli itong ipagawa. Magugunita noong nakaraang taon, nag-viral sa social media ang chest piercing ni Cyril. Nabanggit pa niya sa post na ito ang naudlot niyang bucket list noong December 2021. At yan, ang latest bandera chika natin for today. Thank you, Neil!
Maraming salamat, Pauline. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.